He gestured towards the bodies swaying gently in the stiffening breeze. "Just as well we didn't announce ourselves when whoever did this lurked behind the walls. Looks as though someone's been telling the world he's you." Blackstone grinned. "And he doesn't even look like me." Gilbert cleared his throat, spat, and then spurred his horse. "No one's that ugly, Thomas." When King Edward had summoned Thomas Blackstone to Calais after the Battle of Brignais in April of that year, the scar-faced knight thought he would be arrested. Instead, he was honoured and made Master of War, to serve the King and the Prince of Wales in securing the newly gained territory held by mercenaries and those who fought against the English King's choice in Brittany. The proxy war was being fought between Edward's ward and favourite, John de Montfort, and the French-backed Charles de Blois. Blackstone was tasked with clearing towns and territory ceded to Edward in the peace treaty with France, and securing the loyalty of wayward Gascon lords in the Duchy of Aquitaine, ready for the prince's arrival, already delayed by months. The treaty with the French king Jean le Bon was worth only as much as each monarch ascribed to it. Territorial disputes had not been settled, and because of that the English king had not renounced his claim to the French throne. Much of France was held by English, French, and German routier captains, who commanded their mercenaries with ruthless efficiency. No sooner had Blackstone and his men defeated one band and forced them to release their towns for King Edward than the routier rejoined others, and so the fight went on. Belligerent Frenchmen still thirsted for Blackstone's blood, and it was obvious outside the walls of Saint-Ouen that one foolhardy routier had thought to claim the legendary mantle and force those behind the walls to surrender their weapons and women. He had failed. "At least 30 men were inside the walls, Thomas," said Gilbert as they rode south through the Breton March. "There was enough churned ground for maybe more." "Either Bretons or Skinners," said Blackstone's squire, John Jacob. "Little to choose between the two." "We have a quarrel with both," said Blackstone as he searched the open countryside beyond the town. There was no sign of campfire smoke rising in the cool autumn air over the treetops. It suggested that whoever had slain the men masquerading as Blackstones had come upon the abandoned town as a resting place. It had been the 13 dead men's misfortune that they had tried to frighten those they thought to be helpless townspeople. The horsemen's tracks had petered out along the riverbank, and as Blackstone's men skirted the shallows, it became obvious that the riders had melted into the forest on the opposite bank. Melon's bearded hulk nudged his horse forward. The throat-cutter had ridden in from the flanks. "No sign of them beyond the river-bank," said Thomas. "They're still travelling. Back home, perhaps. If their lord's domain is near, then they'll keep going until they're safely behind his walls. If they're Skinners, then they might be holding out against the French." "Whose domain is this?" said Gilbert. "Has it been ceded to Edward?" Blackstone shook his head. "I don't know. Sir John made no mention of this place." "If Chandos doesn't want it for the king, then let's be on our way," said Gilbert. "No point in picking a fight just to keep warm. We have enough to do before the prince sets foot in Bordeaux." Blackstone settled his gaze across the sweeping forest that swallowed the river as it curved. Somewhere in there was an enemy who had claimed his death. The prince is still at his estate in Cornwall. He won't set sail until next summer. There's time enough for us to do his bidding. Gilbert yanked his horse's reins as it dipped its head to the sweet grass. "Near enough a year since they wed, and he still can't wean himself away, like a child on the teat. Mind you, I am told they are tits a man would happily..."